So, continuing from our discussion, so there was this one thread on Clubhouse that I ran into the other day. It was called Niger House Helps Exploitation versus Opportunity. And I thought it was a very interesting conversation. I don't know where you stand on it, but basically what they were arguing against was you had people on one side that were saying, look, we cannot have house helps being taken for granted. Basically, because these house helps in Nigeria, doing domestic work, they get sold into these transactions. Basically, they usually have someone in the village that's taking the money from them,
Yeah.
from the kids, and it's usually kids that get maltreated, mistreated, in these people's houses. They get treated like second class citizens, this, and that. So there was this faction in this room that was saying, look, we need to pretty much ban this stuff. But then there was also this other faction that was saying, look, we understand that there are a lot of inhumane things going on in some of these situations,
Mm-hmm.
these kids being taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also an economy that's coming out of this too. A lot of people, the only way that they're able to get out of their impoverished state is by going through house help work,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get an opportunity either to go to school and they're able to live themselves out of poverty. Basically, it's been a system that has worked for some people, but it's also been very, very detrimental for a lot of people. And there were these folks that, some of them obviously that lived abroad, that were they were looking at it from a perspective of from the Jan Yankee perspective of, oh no, kids should never be allowed to work. But the question is, okay, well, if they don't work, then then what's the alternative? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, what's the alternative? Then you had people saying, well, you pretty much bring them into your house and you have to treat them the exact same way you treat your own kids. So stuff like, if you bring in a house help, right, you can't send them to a public school and then send your own kids to a private school. And they were talking along those lines. And I thought it was interesting because in my mind I'm thinking this doesn't sound like any kind of domestic work. This sounds like adoption. Like, it's one thing if you want to adopt a kid and help the kid and treat that kid like yours. But if this is someone that you want domestic help from, which happens a lot, like, I mean, this is just the economy that we have. This is how it's set up. There's certain labor out there. It's obviously the people that are rich. They have this immense power. They have this they have a bigger a bigger bargaining power because they have the money, right? And these people that are trying to negotiate with them, they're coming from a place of poverty, so they don't really have equal bargaining power, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
unfair. But I guess my question is, what's the right thing? Is this something that you think that should be outlawed outright?
So no, I don't think it should be outlawed. We have experience. So I've always spoken against child slavery. I always spoke doing something we're talking about. I forget what we're talking about. Other rights.
Mhm.
One of these Black Lives Matters conversation we had, and I was saying how Nigerians are hypocritical because you're the same people who you're talking about slavery
Mhm.
but yet you have kids in
Mhm.
your house that came from Togo, that came
Mhm.
from these countries, and I had these conversations with people over the years, and somebody would tell me, "Oh, in my own house, we treated them like kids. We took them." I think I even had that conversation in one of the League of Law thread, and I think maybe
Okay.
it was in Mika or someone that was saying how his parents, the person they had, they trained them and took them to school, and
Mhm.
and when you put it that way or you look at it that way, that kind of person obviously might never get that opportunity if they were by themselves.
Yeah.
So, but on the flip side too, you do have situations where I've seen a woman tie up this child
Yeah, there's some
and
sick shit going on.
put them in a cage with dogs. There's one I saw them they put in a bag of
There's
rice.
some
Like,
that even end up dying as a
yeah,
result
like when I
of.
think of these things, it makes me angry, and I'm like, fuck it, ban it all. But we have to be realistic.
Yeah.
We come from very poverty, and and I keep having to go back to the conversation just because we're both in that room. But even that railway stuff, I was telling, I made that comment and said, you guys know, like, even with the railway that the government builds, there are people who are going to steal
Yeah.
the metal to resell. And it's because the mentality we come from. We're very poor. My dad would always tell me like, if you go and build a nice garden to beautify Lagos somewhere, Ibadan somewhere, and you put one nice fabricated metal something, don't be surprised when you come back and it's gone.
Mhm.
In here in this country, you don't think of stuff like that. No one is coming
Yeah.
to steal. Yeah, this wood of your deck here in Nigeria. Don't leave this on Nigeria. Somebody will come and find a way to cut it down when they need
Mhm.
it. So we're very poor and we do what we need to survive. So if a family believes sending their kid almost quote unquote selling, it's almost like you're selling.
In a way,
In
yeah.
a way, selling their kid is the way forward. It's a selfish way for the family,
Yes.
but look at a driver. A driver is poor, making 30, 20,000 naira a
Mhm.
month. He marries the market woman or house girl or woman who's also making 10, 20, 30,000. So their combined income is 50K a month.
Mhm.
Then they have 10 children. Those kids are going to be raised in poverty
Yeah.
and be poor. And those kids are going to marry poor people
Mhm.
and keep the cycle goes on. It's one would randomly out of how many would make it in life, but so poverty breeds poverty.
Yeah.
So that woman is like, well, I'm gonna have to sell these kids or push them. I don't want to use the word sell because now it sounds like I'm talking about. But it's really what it is
Mhm.
you're giving this child to a stranger to
Yeah.
take this child to another stranger's house
Mhm.
to go work domestic work,
Mhm.
and you're getting money from it.
Mhm.
And this child is living in someone else's house. I remember being in my boy's house one time as a kid, and the maid was almost our age, and maybe she was a little older, maybe, but like I would always just randomly think, when me and this guy are playing PlayStation, when me and this guy are going to school, when me and this guy are
Mhm.
playing soccer. I think they send her to some public school, but like when me and this guy are having fun, she doesn't have a childhood.
Yeah.
She really doesn't have
She
friends.
doesn't.
She
It's
doesn't have.
tragic.
It's tragic when
So,
you sit down and think about it that way. She doesn't have a childhood. She
so,
doesn't have
so,
friends.
so we're being. It feels like we're between a rock and a hard place.
It
It's like
is,
the choices that we have, right? It's either okay, that girl doesn't get that opportunity to come and work in that place, right?
and eat 3 square meals and have clean clothes and have
Hmm.
clean water
Yeah.
and go to public school.
Yes.
She doesn't have. If she doesn't come,
She
she
doesn't
doesn't
have
get
that
that
chance. If
chance.
it's a guy, it could even be worse
It could be.
because that guy could end up going into crime because
Yeah.
he doesn't
So,
have
or
that
even the girl could go
opportunity.
into prostitution, or well,
Yes.
if you want to be a sex worker, be a sex worker. But let me just sex trafficking. Don't let me
Yes.
say prostitution. Yeah, she
Yes.
could be sex trafficked. She could be,
Yes.
yeah. So it could get worse.
So some people brought up some good, really good ideas. Oh, this one do that. I thought he brought up some brilliant ideas, and basically what he was saying is that maybe we need to
That's
regulate.
what I was going to get. Oh, I didn't finish. So yeah, that's what I was going to get
The
to.
problem
Regulate. We need to
is
regulate.
regulation would mean we would have to rely on the government.
Yes.
Anything that involves the
So
government is a
yes,
scam.
it is.
You know what I'm
So,
saying?
and that's what I was trying to get to is regulation. So because the case differs by case. So like I just said, that girl doesn't have a childhood, and her off days were one Sunday.
Mhm.
So Sunday between certain hours, she gets to leave the house, go meet, I guess the one person she knows in the town, for a few hours, and come back, and you're back to it.
Mhm.
And we I don't know, like maybe I'm just too butty or whatever, but
Or do
I
you
think
think
that the
that?
mental state
Mhm.
also, like, can you think of the mental state of just being, yeah, we moved to this country on our own,
Yeah.
right, by ourselves, and at a younger age, and even then, just being by yourself sometimes can take a toll on you.
Yeah.
Going through college by yourself, even though yes, you have cousins, relatives, but like for the most part, you were forced to be an adult for yourself. You
Yeah.
were here in a new country yourself, thrown in here and say, guy, and you're coming to a very developed country. It doesn't
Yes.
get more developed, well,
Mhm.
unless you're in China, all this, but it's very developed, and yet they still had its toll. Start think about you being in some stranger's house in Nigeria,
Yeah.
and now hope that at least the stranger is even taking care of you.
Is nice enough to.
Because there's some
So
that
then
will
let me
tell you to
ask
eat
you
the same
something.
food the dogs are eating.
Do you think maybe there should be there should be an age limit?
One, I do think there should be an age limit.
What would you say the age
I
limit
think it
should
should be
be?
18 and above.
18.
Yes. But
Then that means there's a lot of under 18 kids that are they just swallowing in
now that's the
poverty.
second part. So
And then at 18, it's like
so
there's no
you need the,
you're not
and
paying
that's what I
for
was
high
saying.
school or anything at that
So, and the
point
second part,
unless
and here's the
you
thing
want to
too.
send them to university.
So yeah, so here's the thing is
It kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't
government,
it?
no,
At
because
18.
so here's where it has to come in hand in hand. Oyo State has a law that I think Makinde has tried to push forward or is pushing forward.
Hmm.
Kids are not supposed to be, kids between certain ages are supposed to be in school.
Yes.
free for free. The
Hmm.
government is covering that part. But parents don't even send those kids because those parents believe, why is my kid going to school when I can have them hawk and make me
And make
money?
me money. Yeah.
Yes. So now it's up to the government to enforce it and punish those
Yes.
parents.
Hmm.
If the government does that, then
Yeah.
you know that guaranteed from the ages of as a teen,
They'll be in school.
toddler to 18, you're in school.
Okay. Okay, I like
So you're
that.
in
I like
school.
that.
We know that.
Which is good. Which is so
And
that means their time is being
their
productive.
time is being productive. You're in school.
So that would mean we would need to have free education for these kids.
Yes. And I
I
think
like that. But then again, I want to. You
the
said
schools too might
18.
not be good though.
You
You know,
said
that's another
18.
option
You
to,
said
yeah,
18. I
18.
think 18 might be high because the legal working age in Nigeria, I checked, it's 16 years
Okay, so
old.
16 is fine
I
then.
think 16 is a
16
fair.
is fair, yes. Well, I
So
said 18 because most of us graduate from secondary school at
at, eight,
17,
at
18.
17, yeah, fair.
Do you get, so 17, let's say 16. 16 is fine. 16,
Yeah,
17.
yeah.
But also at 16, you're still a child, but you're a little more you're less dependent at that point, a little
Yeah.
less you're a little more, you've seen a little more in life to
Mhm.
make you make better decisions. You've
Yes.
seen a little more, and also with the school, you now another aspect is not only making them go to school, make sure the schools are teaching them something good, because with school you can start to get that belief that, you know what, maybe I can make something for myself and push something for myself and have the education. Well, Nigeria is tough too, but
Wait, but the Oyo State experiment, right?
it's
Is
not an
it's
experiment.
ongoing. It's
Oyo
ongoing right
State
now,
has years ago,
and it's free,
has signed.
confirmed.
They signed that deal. I don't know if it's free. It's. I think it's free. The governor when he came in has been trying to revive things. It's been there. I think the previous governor was just
It just
chopping the
didn't
money.
enforce it.
He didn't, and he didn't
Okay,
enforce it.
okay.
But it's hard to also be. One thing I would say is I don't think I'd ever want to be a politician in Nigeria too, because sometimes it's hard to enforce things. Like things have gotten so bad.
Yeah,
Like you want to build roads, you have to demolish houses because people have built houses to, like, we've got so lawless.
yeah.
So sometimes
It's a failed
it's a
state.
norm. So it's like for you, you don't. Why should you be convincing people to send their kids to school?
Hmm.
But that's what he has. So now he has to start with two ways. Is
I actually, but I like that. I think this. I think.
now I don't know if he ever completed. He started talking about doing it when he came into office. Now,
Mhm.
you know, and the man has been doing a lot of stuff, obviously. So I don't know, but yes, the government officials have to enforce that school thing.
Yes.
So there's an age limit.
Free education.
Because also let's
up
talk
until high
about it.
school.
Even the women, even the girls, and I feel for the girls because all these little girls to get raped
Yeah.
while they are at the house. Some of these quote unquote they get raped by uncles, aunties, gardeners, gateman, security guard. They get raped too.
So we need some kind of enforcement of laws against like maltreatment of these domestic workers.
Honestly, I think let me tell you. I've thought about a big thing that can solve so many unskilled labor issues in Nigeria. It's a thing that United States is moving away from,
Mhm.
but I think we need to move towards it. Unionizing, getting a union.
Okay.
So that way, you know that any gateman, there's a union of gatemen, there's a
Yeah.
union of house girls, there's a union of
Yeah.
drivers. First of all, that helps to standardize
block.
to
Where were you?
salary.
Where were you in the club room that you could have brought up a lot of these things?
I heard. So sometimes some people make some statements that just piss me off and I just get out. I'm just like, I don't like, you're not being realistic with your thought process.
You're right.
So
They could unionize.
unionize. Yeah, there you go. And you have like people, because America runs away from it, because you see like in certain areas of the country that still have unions, they make it harder for laws to pass.
Yeah, the
The-
unions have had
unions, they
they've
have
had
too
a,
much power.
They've had a long time
Long
in
time
power,
in power, yeah.
and
So
they've abused a
they've
lot of their powers
abused
in
it,
a lot
and
of
that's
cases.
what's going to happen to Nigeria too at some point. But they've abused it, so
But
uh,
but
people
at
are
least we
running
can
away.
get started.
But we can start it because that way it helps. You're paying a driver 50. Like, oh, I'm sorry, but if I'm paying you 15K and say, well, that's what they pay drivers. If I can't afford to, do I not want a driver to?
Mm.
As I am like now, I'm able to afford a driver, but does it make sense? But a driver here in America, how much is it going to cost? Does it make sense for me to pay that kind of money? Because I don't have the money to, so I won't have a driver. So why should you be? But everybody has a driver in Nigeria, because how much are you paying a driver? 15K, 20K.
So-
Everybody has house girl because you're paying them 15K, 10K.
So let me give you this scenario, and I like where your head is at, because let's say they unionize, right, and then they decide that, look, going forward, you have to use domestic workers that are part of some
This
kind of
union,
union,
yeah.
right? Obviously,
And the union,
you're gonna have people going around that,
yes,
right? And to go and to still go and get
of course,
um, domestic workers
of
that are not
course.
unionized for cheap and mistreating them. We would need some kind of enforcement to punish those people. We would need
So,
it.
so the regulation still stands as so. My in a perfect world, my idea would have been the whole school system,
Yes.
regardless of house girl or anybody. I
Yeah,
think
that one.
everybody
That one
has to
needs.
stay.
Yeah, that
That
one
school one
needs
has to
to. That
stay
one needs to be there. Yeah,
because you will learn. School first of all keeps you off the streets,
it does.
and you get to learn and explore. And just see the endless possibilities in life. Even if life has dealt you a
Yeah.
bad hand, you can see stories of people that have been educated and be able to at least move out of that.
Hmm.
And reason I say up until secondary school is because nowadays, honestly, a lot of jobs today, you really don't need a college degree to get it. Like they ask for it, but you can be a wealthy person without a college degree, if you're being honest. But
Yeah.
I feel like primary and secondary education
Yeah.
is what defines you as a person. Most of
Mhm.
your English that you learned, most of your Yoruba, most of your language, most of your intellect came from these phase, like your reasoning
Yeah.
process. So keep them there. They are not thinking a poverty mindset because they're educated. One,
Yeah. So education.
education done. Now unions come in too for all
Yes.
these
For
unskilled
domestic, for
laborers.
unskilled laborers.
Unskilled laborers from security guy to driver to gate man. And
They have unions for like teachers though in Nigeria. They do have unions. It's just that they don't have it to the level
the
that we
Nigerian
need it.
teachers it's ASU.
Yeah,
Association
lecturers union.
Association of
They
but
have.
ASU it's weird and it's the fucked up shit. And that's another thing in Nigeria. So ASU, the leaders of ASU, their own kids don't even go to school in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And these people call on strikes. And here's the problem: ASU calls strikes, and that's also another problem with union. Even if a teacher wants to teach and ASU calls strike, that's it. For public schools.
Mhm.
Public schools you can't teach because
Yeah.
ASU has called a strike. And I don't know what ASU strikes are for. I don't know what I think they always say maybe it's obviously unpaid
Mhm.
salaries and stuff like that. But but the downside of the amount of strikes ASU has called is so many people that were supposed to go to college, for instance, for 4 years. And ASU is only for universities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I think some people that are supposed to go to school for 4 years ended up going to school for 6 years. Because if ASU in your 4 years program, ASU call strikes 5 times, and each time is 2 3 months, you've lost 2 years of school
Yeah.
in general. So, but they do have that. But yeah, you can get it for every industry, every unskilled labor, and that way, when you want to get a driver. Or well, let's start with house help since that's the topic. You want to get a maid
Yeah.
at age of 16.
Yes.
There's a union
And
that
there are
minimum standards,
yeah, minimum
requirements
standards and
that if you don't
requirements.
fit, I'm sorry, but having
Like
a maid,
minimum amount that you can pay that person is there's certain things that like certain treatment that you can't, you have to give that, you can say like give that
yeah,
person a real
and if you don't,
bed.
that person can they can come for you,
Yeah.
and that way. But because let's be honest, like and that's what I was trying to say. You and I, Corey, I don't know how much. I looked at how much drivers here make. We can afford to hire drivers, chauffeurs, but
Here?
yeah,
You
but
think so?
yeah, but it is not makes it
It
does
won't
not
make
make
any,
any
it makes no
sense
sense to drive by
to
yourself.
drive yourself.
It makes no
It makes
sense.
no sense.
I'll rethink it.
You rethink it.
Yeah.
You
And in
rethink
Nigeria,
it.
maybe some people might rethink it too.
Exactly. You rethink it and say, guy,
Mm,
this actually makes no
yeah.
absolute
Maybe
like
you're not in a
as in, I
position
mean,
to have a
maybe
maid.
you're not in a position to have a maid. Let me just do average chauffeur salary. I don't know. Just guy, I have average chauffeur salary is 26,000 to 49,000 a year.
Mm.
Yeah, you can pay somebody that a year, but you now think about it, say, but wait, come, I don't think I want to use 26,000 of my money to pay somebody's salary a year.
Yeah.
You don't.
You
Now,
can
if you're making $1 million a year or seven figures,
you can afford
you
it.
can say, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah, but at least you know your place.
You know your place. I have
I like
cleaners
it.
that come to my apartment to clean, but they come once a month because
Yeah.
that's the only time I feel like, oh, I
Yeah.
can give you that money once a month. I'm not going to hire you full time
Yeah.
because I mean I can choose to, but then it's a waste of my goddamn money.
Yeah. So I like where your head is at. I think the problem with it is, and in somewhere like Oyo State, right? You already have like education programs in place. If they get enforced, we can kind of move towards that. But the rest of the country, that that's not going to happen
No,
because of leadership.
no,
Again, it always comes back to leadership.
no.
Because why? Because the money that's supposed to be used for that education is going into someone's pocket.
Yeah,
So it comes right
and that's
back.
why I want so another model that I want Nigeria to follow is the individuality like of states here, where laws is state wise.
Yes.
Let Oyo State be responsible for your state, and Oyo State does. Let Lagos State be responsible. Don't let the the money Oyo State makes being go into some national pool that Osun State, which refuse to enforce any laws, gets to share from. Don't let the money
But that's
that
how the laws are
I
set
know
up. So you're saying that
scrap that
dismantle those
because
laws.
that's what
But you
happens.
do know that it's part of the
It
constitution,
is,
right?
and that's the controversy because that's what happens when Oyo State is enjoying. Let's just say Oyo State does enforce this kind of laws and starts to prosper,
Mhm.
and everybody next governor comes in and continues it, and now the level of literacy in Oyo State has reduced.
Mhm.
Level of this is start to flourish. You realize that Oyo State is now becoming a hub. It's
Mhm.
now becoming nice. Now making money. Osun State, they will look at you and say, does Oyo State and Lagos State have two
Two
heads?"
heads. Yeah, I know.
And when you understand that those people were responsible
Yeah, it
themselves,
would have like
you will
a
be forced
multiplier
to, yeah,
effect.
you will be forced to be your governors at that point realize when your citizens are looking and say, come, everyone else looks at Lagos, 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 Lagos. But when everyone else starts to do their own things and say, and you see that, man, that guy was that guy now, that governor, was it
Mhm.
Borno State that we wanted to be contender for governor at one point?
Mhm.
I forget one of those guys, I mean for president at one point, one of those guys that he reduced the debt of his state. Then he increased the level, reduced the level of literacy. He did a lot, but they don't even, I don't know why they don't, people that don't even get credit for what they do.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so states do your stuff, enforce it, but unionize. Even states, you can have the union per state, not even
Yeah.
overhead.
Mhm.
Let every state come up with, because standard of living is different. You can't say the salary for
Yeah.
a driver in Lagos should be the same salary as one in Ibadan.
Yeah.
And one, so and you in Lagos, you decide to go and live in Lagos, you realize that, man, bro,
Yeah. In theory, it sounds like there's many.
it's
I
never
mean,
gonna
just
happen. I can tell it's never gonna happen.
it's a good idea. It's just
It's never going to
the
happen.
reason why, again, it always comes down to leadership. Everything,
It's never
like
gonna
there's so
happen.
many solutions that can be implemented, right? So many great
Because
ideas,
even that
but
union,
without that
or even in
leadership,
that union, you pay dues and fees. There are gonna be people that are upset,
abuse.
that are even going to be upset that they are paying dues and tell you that they'll go and get the job. I'd rather get the job underground.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of there's also it's never gonna in Nigeria. It's never gonna happen.
I wonder if, again, like I
We're
said,
far away
it
from
always comes down to
leadership. Yeah.
we just need to get rid of these idiots, and it starts from the top. And Buhari is not
But
an example.
it's not only them.